Okay, cool. Bring
You
it.
ready
Destroy
to
us.
our ass? I'm ready for it.
Right. See, when I was looking at it, and I know both of you guys are doing it with your best intentions, but this is actually the evidence of how when we, I think self-righteousness would be a bad word, but I know that's not what you intend, but it happens to us all the time as well. And I was revisiting my position as well when you were making some of the points, and then some of the counterpoints came to my mind, and that's why I wanted to share them with you. So first of all, both of you, I'm going to hold you guys accountable for your own words. So we all want to be logically consistent, right? But I don't think either one of you are being logically consistent because it's never that simple. There are always more nuances. There are always more positions. So first of all, let me say that as far as Australia is concerned, right? Australia has its own set of rules, its own set of laws. Um, Australia doesn't owe anything to Ali Dawah or anyone else living anywhere else. Now, let's start with Armin, your logical consistency. Remember when we were in Germany? Can you guys hear me? I think you guys are just listening to me. Remember when we were in Germany and when we did the speeches and everything? What did you say? Remember? You said, don't let any one of those people come in who don't respect, you didn't say Western values. I think you used the word secular values. Secular values, right? You said that. You said, don't let those people come to your countries who don't value secular values. I don't think there's any argument or any debate that what kind of values Ali Dawah admits. Now, obviously, he's a British citizen, so he can't be kicked out. So he's not a British citizen.
No, it wasn't. I'm assuming you were referring to immigration.
Yeah, you're referring to you're referring to a separate thing. Okay, when it comes to somebody coming in and becoming a resident, or becoming a citizen, then you can and you should involve their values, right?
And we
hang on, Susanna. So let's drill it down. So why are you conveniently making that distinction now that, okay, if Ali Dawah is permanently going to come here, hang on, if he's permanently going to come down here, or he's just going to come here for a couple of speeches, what difference does that make?
Right.
Because I can say that in that short amount of time, he can do same amount of damage that someone else might do even a longer amount of time, because he has bigger audience, etc. So when some Joe Blow, some Ahmed from Iraq who agrees with Ali Dawah, same points, same values, but he would not be allowed to enter Australia because he wouldn't be able to reach 500,000 people in his lifetime, maybe, but Ali Dawah can do it with one speech.
It has, okay, not everything that you're saying is completely irrelevant. About their size of their audience is irrelevant. What the government owes, can I respond?
Sure.
Let me respond. Okay. What the government owes to people is irrelevant. Okay. In fact, what the government owes to people becomes relevant if you're talking about the government handing out citizenship. Okay. That becomes relevant when somebody is, visiting your country, when it comes to tourist visas, and stuff like that. When somebody's coming to visit, if you're policing people's thought based on that, that's thought policing, right? When it comes to residentship, right, the standards, again, probably should be more based on the work requirements that you have, the skill set that you're missing, values, again, the contribution that this person is going to make to society. Okay, so again, what you were saying, like the amount of damage that they could do in a short amount of time, that is also irrelevant, especially when it comes to
I was actually still manning your position.
Can I actually finish a thought before you respond? When it comes to citizenship, oh my God, of course the values of the person coming in becomes irrelevant. Okay, your entire country's identity is about upholding. Yeah, it's about upholding certain values and certain principles, and you want to make sure that those values and principles are going to be withheld and respected, and the people that are coming in are not going to vote in politicians that are like completely derail the government from that. Because your entire country could be hijacked if you just open the door without without controlling for certain values, right? But this is different. If Ali Dawah was applying for Australian citizenship, I would be like, yeah, Australia is should not give people citizenship. Somebody like Ali Dawah citizenship. Like, what the hell? Like, they should. I think like there should be. I'm okay with governments showing requiring a commitment to values like freedom of expression, showing that there's no homophobic views in their history. There's no misogyny. Like, even higher standards. Like, you could even be like, I need to see a history of activism, a history of charity. You need to show that you are I don't know, active in community, that you have contributed to society in a very significant. You could have very, very high standards for who you accept as citizen. You could become extremely strict, and it could all be based on not just values, but also action, to show like you not just holding people, not giving out citizenship for the negative action, but also not giving it out for not showing enough positive action. That's the citizenship. But to be like, oh yeah, we're going to completely not even let you visit because we don't like your views, that's a completely different topic for sure.
Okay, so first of all, I think let the audience understand that. So you are saying that for citizenship, he shouldn't be allowed to get citizenship, but for a short-term visa, he should be allowed to visit, right? So now I would say we can go back and forth on that. That why are you drawing that line?
That's the United States. United States has the same standards.
Now, can I finish?
Yes.
Without interruption.
I muted myself.
Are you listening? Sorry.
I muted myself.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I want to jump in as well, like when you were talking, because otherwise we forget our points.
I won't jump in. I won't jump in anymore. Go on.
I think there's something wrong with my phone. I think it's really. I'm really sorry. I think my phone has really gone really hot. I think this is probably the reason why it's actually. Can you hear me okay, at least? Because I can't hear you properly.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking
up.
No,
we can hear you. We can hear you fine.
Okay. So you were saying, I just want to make it clear so people can agree that, okay, so you are not comfortable with people like Ali Dawah coming to Australia as citizens, but they should be allowed to come to as visitors, as short-term visitors. This is the reason why I actually brought up the message. So why are you saying that they should be allowed to visit on short-term basis? You saying that that's thought policing. It's actually not thought policing, because it's not just a thought in his mind or he's thinking about it. These are violent views, and Australia and obviously other countries can have different opinions on that. To me, what you're saying that, okay, that's not, you're playing with words. It's quite, we know that how people dog whistle and they say certain things in a certain way and how they're interpreted by the people. We all know what's happening. We all know what happened with Trump, when people were saying, he didn't directly say that go and storm the Capitol building, but we all know people were chanting, yes, we're going to storm the building. There are videos of that as well. You can argue that, okay, well, Trump didn't actually say that, but it was happening. So that's called what dog whistling. So, I'm not going to say that these are just his views. He's welcome to hold his views. But when he starts putting them out there, he's inspiring people to do that. People like me could be directly impacted by his speech. And I'm pretty sure that and the standard might not be very difficult different in America as well. I heard you say a couple of times that that's why American freedom of speech is the First Amendment is miles ahead of the rest of the countries. But no, I mean, I think Zakir Naik was actually banned from the United States as well, because when you are actually representing, when you're holding those views and you're actually promoting those views, again, I'm not going to go into the technicalities of that, whether he said that go and do it. Yes, he didn't say idiots doing it, but his dream is like Daniel Akikachu and all these people. They say that we need to convert, we need to establish Islamic Caliphate, and we need to be killed. Now, some people obviously would see that, okay, well, Australia is not an Islamic Caliphate. It might not become an Islamic Caliphate, so I'm going to take the matters into my own hand. Yes, I know Ali Dawah did not explicitly say that, but that speech is along the same line. And I know that if I use that kind of a language, I could also have consequences. Now, I just wanted to raise point on what Susanna also said. Susanna said, well, if, she's okay with barring people if they have a criminal record. But by that standard, okay, you could say that why bar them as well? They can say that, well, we did our time, we paid for our mistake. Why are you not allowing me to come? This is why I keep saying that Australia doesn't owe you anything. You keep asking, what does it matter? What does it mean? That's what it means. Australia doesn't have to let you in. It's the same way as Facebook doesn't have to give you a platform. So Australia doesn't have to let you in. It just doesn't have to. This is not a breach of your freedom of speech. And you said, well, there's another point that you made. I'm sorry, I'm just blurting them all out because otherwise I might forget them. You said that, okay, well, do you support human rights of criminals? Yes, we do, or T people. Yes, we do support that. But when you put them in prison, their human rights are taken away, obviously, because they are you have taken the liberty away. And yes, you could say, well, that's the punishment. Yes, that's called consequences. So what you say and what kind of message you promote, it has consequences. And those consequences may include that you would never be able to enter Australia. Now, let me tell you something. It was actually put out that if you actually have made a donation to WikiLeaks, for instance, you may not be allowed to enter the United States because you have aided the enemy. So you could say, well, I support Julian Assange for whatever he did. So all of these things, it's very, you could say that, okay, well, at least, okay, I don't support that. But in the real world, we don't live in some utopia, Armin. We live in the real world where there are more nuances, where we always have to constantly modify our views, constantly amend our laws, and make what is most practical. So, this is why I think I'm consistent.
Can I respond?
Because I never called, hang on, no, wait, last line. This is why I never called myself a free speech absolutist, because when people go after people's family members, and I say that is personal now, so it's not, you can hide behind freedom of speech. I know you've said that, yeah, sure, they can do that, but I know that's why we have libel laws as well, because these are individuals involved. But someone could argue, like those Hindus did, that, well, this is my freedom of speech, I'm just doing whatever he's doing. So yeah, anyway.
Right, I made a list.
Can I
go through my list responses? Okay. So, by the way, I saw this in the live chat by Infidel Noodle as well. When we say it's up to Australia, of course it's up to Australia. But we are criticizing, yeah, of course Australia can decide what the laws are going to be and what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. But we can criticize those laws. We could be like, if Australia decides something and they like, well, this is our law, we could be like, okay, yeah, but we don't like your laws, and we get to tell Australia that why these laws are bad, right? So when we say Australia shouldn't do this, and people say this is up to Australia, that doesn't negate the fact that we think yes, it is up to their government, and we think we're against a position that they're taking. Okay, when it comes to saying Australia doesn't owe anybody anything, again, this is why citizenship is completely different from letting in somebody in, because it's not about when handing out citizenship. This is not about just letting them visit. You're actually giving something to them. You're giving them the rights. You're giving them the benefits of being a citizen, right? So the question of the government owing somebody something, in fact, when it comes to residency and citizenship, that becomes relevant. Does the government owe you anything? Does the government owe you residency? No. Does the government owe you citizenship? No. So they get to decide who they want to give residency to and who they want to give citizenship to. And we think having people's values in mind is good for a country, right? And to have a very strict screening process based on those things. That is your government gifting somebody with something, and they don't owe you anything, so they don't. They get to be picky when it comes to people coming in. That's not about giving something to somebody. That is about you, the government, stepping in and stopping somebody from doing something. That is restricting someone's mobility. Okay, so the difference is the action of giving somebody something and the action of stopping somebody from their mobility. Those are completely different. And in fact, it's not about just when it comes to giving somebody citizenship. It's not just about letting them visit Australia. There's so many rights and so many consequences in handing out citizenship, and the future of an entire country is dependent on what type of people get to be citizens, right? It's completely a different discussion, right? When it comes to you're saying these certain values will cause people harm and might lead to violence and stuff. I'm wondering if Higher Sultan, once I'm finished going through the list, I want to ask you, like, based on your standards, would you ban the promotion of the Quran and Hadith in Australia? Like, do you think, like, if you say, like, well, we know what these ideas lead to, well, yeah, we know the same thing about the Hadith and the Quran. So, Higher Sultan, are you advocating that we make the promotion of the Quran and Hadith illegal? Based on your own standards, right? When you say Facebook, just like Facebook gets the right to kick somebody off of their platform, Australia gets to do the same thing. No, I mean, that's the difference between freedom of speech and something else. That's the difference between deplatforming of freedom of speech. Australia's government is a government. You're talking about government involvement. You're comparing that to a private company deciding who they want to platform. That's completely a false analogy. You also mentioned about human rights. You talk about people's human rights are being taken away when they go to jail. Not really. The rights
That was insane.
That was like okay.
Abolitionist?
No.
The prison conditions. The prison conditions could violate someone's rights.
But let me finish. You don't. When we defend human rights, those rights do not include the right for you to be free while committing a crime. That's not a human right that we defend. Okay, your human rights has not been violated if you go to jail after committing a crime. Your human rights has been violated if you didn't get to defend yourself, if you didn't have a court hearing, if you're being punished. If your punishment doesn't fit the crime, if you're going through a cruel and unusual, if you're going through torture, I think your also human rights has been violated if you're being executed. Like, I'm against the capital punishment, so I think that's a human rights violation. But no, your human rights has not been violated because if you go to prison for committing a crime, because I didn't hear any of us thinking like I should be able to commit a crime and not go to prison. That's not a human right that we promote. So I don't understand. Yes, there should be consequences to your action, but the consequences need to be justified. There are certain crimes that we think, like, for example, there shouldn't be any consequences. Okay, and again, there should be consequences to you advocating for horrible views, but some of those consequences shouldn't be legal, right? For example, I think that it's a justify if I go and spread really, really disgusting racist views and I lose all my social media accounts, I think that's a justified consequence to my action. But if I go to jail for that, I don't think that's a justified consequence to my action. Just because we endorse, again, this is not a black and white thinking. Just because you are for people saying consequences to their action, that doesn't mean that you endorse all form of consequences to people's action, right? So, for example, if somebody steals money and they get executed for it, or Islamically cut their hands for it, I'm like, yeah, no, that's unjustified. That's not a consequence that we promote. You're like, wait, so you think somebody steals something, there shouldn't be consequences for the action? Yeah, there should be consequences. Maybe they should go to jail. But cutting off their hands, that is way too much. So yeah, you can't be like, oh, I am for consequences for people's actions and you guys are not. No, we are. We're just, the debate is not whether or not they're. Okay, so I don't know why you're bringing up there should be consequences.
No, I know. I think I made it quite clear why I was bringing up, because so basically we're disagreeing on what the consequences. So I actually, since I told you I'm driving, so I'm not really writing it down. What was your first point that you made about immigration? You said, well, that's a totally different conversation. No, it's not, because you said that the entire future of the whole country depends on it. Well, if you allow 500 Ali Damas to come every year to Australia, yes, the entire future of the country will depend on that too. And this is what we've seen in Western, in European countries. And that's why countries like France and all the other countries have started looking into what kind of imams are going to come into the country to visit and spread the ideas. What kind of ideas they're going to spread? Are they supported by? Are they sponsored by Salafis? What kind of version of Islam is coming, etc., etc. In Germany, it happened with Turkey and all that. So yes, I can make the same argument that the future of the entire country and the whole generation depends on that, because these people come from those countries and they radicalize the local youth. So I can use the same argument, but again, let's leave it to the audience. What was your second counter argument?
Can I respond to that? But if you say,
I'll forget about all the others. But I'll forget about all the others. Okay, well, sure. Let's go back and forth on this then. Let's go.
If you
Let's go
say if
rebut
you
the
allow
couple.
500 Ali Dawahs, that's a classical slippery slope logical fallacy. Okay,
Oh,
so
well, then you
but
committed the same one.
no,
But
no,
you
but
committed the same one when it comes to
no,
residents.
but I agree with the actions taken of not letting people in if they have if they have supported or if they are being supported
Slippery
by a
slope.
terror group. No, no,
Slippery
no. If
slope.
no, for example, if your petition says like Ali Dawah has donated to, I don't know, like Hamas, or has been sponsored by Hamas or something like that, which
That's
is
your
actually
standard, not my standard. That's your standard. That's not my standard. He's
yeah,
telling people
I
that a
know.
person should be killed. So why am I hang on, why do
I don't
why
understand.
do I draw the line? Why do I draw the line at Hamas and not him openly saying that ex-Muslims should be killed?
Okay, but I do think there's a major difference between somebody being associated with a terror group. I don't know. You don't see the difference between thought policing people and not letting them and getting the government involved because of the wrong opinions that they have, compared to somebody being actively involved in a terror group.
Violence is the line. Obviously one is hang on. Yeah, but it's a pretty agreed upon standard. People have always said that violence, and again, I'm not going to make any apologies or excuses about that. That's always has been my line. But they always say Hamas would be worse. Hamas would be worse than just saying something, because in one case you're saying, in the other case you're doing it.
Right. Okay. So if that's how loose we want to be with the lines, should Majid Nawaz be able to go to Australia?
Why? What did he say?
He thinks the Quran is the word of God.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the word of God.
Well, I mean, okay, so but the Quran, the views in the Quran have been very harmful, and they do lead to violence.
Yeah, but they disagree. Yeah, but it depends on how he interprets the Quran. So he doesn't agree with the violent verses of the Quran.
No, but
he has a whole line of reasoning.
No, but the fact that he endorses the Quran, and if more people take the Quran seriously, if you go down that road, he's legitimizing a book that is advocating the murder of people like me and you, and even Susanna.
You and I both know that this is not as black and white in that case either.
Okay,
and we
exactly.
know,
Exactly.
No, but in my case, it's a bad analogy, because in my case, it is pretty black and white, that you draw the line at violence. If I say some certain groups of people should be killed, other countries are well within their rights to say, Harris, your bigoted views are not welcome in this country.
So the disagreement that me and you have is how far away from violence that view is. Like, basically, you agree that you agree that just because something could lead to violence, that doesn't mean the government should get involved, right? So it's not as black and white, because the view there are many there's no Islamic preacher that should be allowed in Australia because they endorse
indirect. You're just deliberately trying to dig a hole. There is a difference between explicitly saying something and implicitly saying something. People can always hide behind, and that is the slope that they can hide behind.
All right, let's go.
Quran.
Let's go to other preachers.
Call for violence is only under specific. It's not even a call for violence. He's stating a fact under which circumstances.
He's saying he's saying that should happen. He's saying that's what should happen. He's not saying that under Islamic law, that's what Islam says. He said that's what should happen. He's an influencer.
So your line is a little bit higher. Let's say. So do you think every single imam who actually takes Hadith Bukhari and the Quran literally, every single one of them that says like that, every single one of them shouldn't be allowed in Australia?
Yes. I said it before when they did that that's what France did, right? That's what France has just done. That we're going to look into what are they actually preaching before they actually enter France, and then we're not going to let them in. If they actually
so you are more of an authoritarian than we are. Then, like, we don't disagree. We don't disagree on what's happening. We just have different standards on how much government involvement we.
Yes, violence. And again, I have to keep saying that. This is not a breach of his human rights, because Australia is not an Australian citizen. Australian government is not his government. We have visas for a reason. We have visas because nobody owes anyone anything. We can always say, no, you're not welcome to come. You are welcome to come. So you can't just compare with, okay, well, this is when we have world without borders, maybe he will have a problem then. Maybe we'll talk about it then. But now this guy's compatible views. He does not agree with Australian values, and we are well within our rights to actually say, no, sorry, you're not welcome. It's very simple.
So is it? But yeah, I guess that I just draw the line when it comes to incitement of violence a lot more directly. Do you know what I mean? So we just have different like I think the government is justified to step in only when somebody says, like, if somebody, for example, if somebody comes and says it would be great if Armin dies, or under a perfect government Armin should be executed. I don't see that for government. I don't think that should be banned, or the government should get involved in any way. If somebody says that, I don't think, because it's not obviously a veil for a threat. If somebody actually says, like, guys, just go and do something to Armin, then that should be. I think that's. I think
that's
I'm
an
a bit
open
more.
threat. That's an open threat.
Open.
So that's the difference between a veiled threat and an open threat.
Yeah, I mean, if a lot of these people might actually not be thinking that they genuinely might not be doing a veil threat. How do you know it's a veil threat? Maybe they. How do you know that? How do you know that they don't actually believe that the conditions of an Islamic state for me to be executed will not be met until the Mahdi comes back? How do you know that they genuinely don't believe that? Who's going to decide what we know?
Because I'm not an idiot. Because if you're
reading
saying,
people's minds.
If someone, I mean, yes, we also read between the lines as well. If someone keeps saying that Harris should be killed, Harris should be killed, Harris should be killed, and I'll create a caveat, but under an Islamic the law, under Islamic caliphate or something. Oh, I know when I would design my threat like this about someone, I would deep down be hoping that yes, someone might misunderstand my word deliberately, and someone will take care of Armin, because I'm just saying that Armin.
You think it's impossible? You think, okay? Even when I was a Muslim, I met people that genuinely, Muslim people who genuinely believe, and actually were. This is the way that they try to justify it to themselves, right? That the conditions are not, like, when they say, like, yes, maybe under a perfect an Islamic regime you should be killed, they keep wanting to clarify that these conditions are not met and will not be met in your lifetime. And the only reason why they hang on to that idea of these conditions will, if the conditions are met, then you should be executed, is because they don't want to deny the hadith, because they think like they're being un-Islamic. Like they are uncomfortable with this hadith. They're uncomfortable with these Quranic verses. And the only way that they could justify it is by believing that we are so far away from those conditions that to be met.
I understand that might be the reason.
Let me finish my point. Do you think it's impossible for certain? Again, I'm not endorsing any of this. Okay, a lot of these people think like.
Of course, you'll be.
But do you think it's impossible for some Muslims who come and say that only under very specific situations that nowhere on this planet has been met, then execution of ex-Muslims are okay, and even then under this standard and after a trial and after 3 days? Do you genuinely think it's impossible for Muslims to say that and actually not wanting any ex-Muslims to be executed while they say that? Do you not think that's possible?
No, I genuinely think that when people parrot that kind of narrative, the world is not that black and white. When Ali Dawah says that, even his own audience will not just see that, okay, only in an Islamic caliphate. And since Australia will never become an Islamic caliphate, so that's fine. Harris can go and live his life. We've seen that. I've seen that in Pakistan, and I've seen that. I mean, there are people, and I've actually got screenshots of people publicly say, well, Harris, there's a reason why there is a death sentence for blasphemers. Pakistanis have not that much of an obsession with Mutadeens, but more so with blasphemers. So that's what this is. But privately, people have sent me his screenshots where he's telling people that this is his address, go and kill him. So I know that.
What?
People, hang on. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. But not everyone is like that or whatever. But
no,
that's
not what I'm gonna say.
You're gonna say you can't hold Ali Dawah. You can't hold Ali Dawah to that standard, right?
No. I'm saying if you have private messages of Ali Dawah actually wanting to get people.
No, not Ali Dawah, not Ali Dawah, someone else. Not Ali
Oh,
Dawah.
okay.
No, Ali Dawah. I don't think he's that stupid to actually.
I don't.
to do it.
I just don't think that you should just guess people's viewpoints and then apply government. No, wait. I don't think that you should, even if you're correct, okay, Harris, even if you're correct, if you don't have evidence for it, you shouldn't be able to get the government involved based on.
Yeah, I get that point, and I apply the same logic on conspiracy theories as well. That even though that might be true, but we cannot accept it. But the price here is far higher. So as I said, this is why I keep saying Australia doesn't owe him a visit. So Australia doesn't have to be. So we can live without anyone getting harmed or anything if he is just not allowed in, and it actually sets a precedence. What it does, it sets a precedence. Other clerics, other preachers would also think twice before they would actually do it. And unfortunately, we've been waiting for a very long time. As I said, France is one country that's taking a big action on this front, and I'm actually happy with that. It's perfectly consistent with that. I'm not a free speech absolutist.
All right, I'm gonna say something, but then after this we have to go to Susanna because she has her hand up for a long time. I just think that when you guys underestimate the consequences of giving governments this level of authority over thought policing. If you study a little bit, if you study more history, you could see where this line of thinking leads to. If you want to get governments involved in removing the people who you don't like, you're setting a precedent for something that the consequences of it is higher than what you're actually stopping. Susanna.
Not like. Sorry, I have to say one word. Not like. It's not. So don't strawman me. I didn't say that he shouldn't be allowed because I don't like him. Because he's making a speech that is leading to violence. Now we can disagree on that, but that is my standard.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying, Susanna.
Do we know? Do we have examples of his speech leading to violence? Also, I want to clarify one thing. When you talk about what France is doing, are you talking about their so-called ban on Islamism? Is that what you're referring to?
We're doing deep attacks on people who enter France on preaching visas.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
And I think Austria. I think Austria's done that too. Yeah. I want Australia to do it. I want Australia to do it.
What do you think about whether or not this is a free speech argument or just a visa thing? Like, put that aside for a second. What do you think about our arguments about this not being a smart thing to do strategically?
No, I don't think. I think people will always have two people. There will always be people on two ends. There'll be some Muslims who will say, "Ha, they'll be making more noise," and it might resonate with other people. But but then there will always be more people who would say, well done, he shouldn't be allowed, and other people will think about it too. But as a consequence, what I do understand, I think it is smart, because as a consequence of this, other clerics will actually think twice before saying things like this openly. Now, I know for a fact that when we, for example, there's so many things that I actually want to say on YouTube, and you guys are constantly censoring words too, for good reasons. But again, we actually hate that, right? But we know that whatever we say, we can pay consequences for it. We might lose a channel, we might, we might come up on someone's alert list or something or whatever, and these things can happen. So therefore, the onus on us is to be even more careful to actually choose our words. So and social media, unfortunately, and I do think that social media has gone into overcorrection mode. But when you do take social media away from people, this is a huge tool for all of us. If it is taken away from us, we will lose a lot of voice too. So I don't mind if people like Ali Dawah do lose their voice, not because I don't like him or because of their religious views, but because they are proud of that.
All right, so I'm really.
He will be watching, and he will be watching when you and I get in bed.
Harris, most of the live chat agrees with you. So before we go, can you tell people where they can find the petition? But I'm starving right now, so I need to go eat. But let people know. But given that most people are on your side in our own live chat, I think this is a good opportunity. This is a good opportunity for you to tell people where to go sign the petition.
Right. So,
If
thank you for the opportunity. And I was hoping for a Streisand effect, and I was hoping that those ex-Muslims who actually don't support my petition, but then please talk about it. So thank you very much for talking about it, because then at least, people can hear both sides of the argument, and then, they can make up their mind. Even in my video, I said, if you agree with this narrative, only then sign it, but which was the obvious anyway, because if they didn't agree with me, they would have been like, screw you, Harry. So guys, you can go to my my YouTube channel, which is Harris Sultan. You would see a video there. I think this video that Armin played is there. But if you go to Google, you put in Ali Dawah petition, there are 2 petitions against him. I think the top one only had about 100 signatures or something, where this guy, YouTuber, tried to ban him from entering Speaker's Corner, but that's just irrelevant. So the second one that comes up, hate speech, it says something like hate preacher Ali Dawah coming to Australia or something. So you can click on that. I think it's just gone over 2,000, but I'm hoping that there should be a lot more signatures once other ex-Muslims actually understand my narrative on this. And I thought that would be the case, that we draw our lines everywhere, and this is why we always say morality is subjective. I knew that some people would say, well, he didn't technically say go and, whack some ex-Muslims. He didn't explicitly say that, but I'm sorry, my journey is from Pakistan, and I've seen how people have said, blasphemy, and we've seen now people are getting lynched by mobs for simply saying, Jesus, just pray to Jesus. So there's one thing that you say, and then it has consequence. Now, I know you can say slippery slope fallacy. I actually buy slippery slope. I mean, slippery slopes do happen. They are real. But anyway, yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Pyro Kitty Cat in live chat saying, I already signed and I'm proud of it. And Infidel Noodle saying, very thought-provoking discussion, everyone. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I hope that
Aisha, Infidel, I want to ask Infidel. Can you say that? So I know you were re-questioning your position on that. I hope that kind of help you make up your mind or something, or if not, then I'm willing.
Everyone's simping. Everyone is simping for Infidel Noodle. Everyone was
pick me,
pick me, Infidel Noodle. Pick me, pick my side.
I was no, but with Infidel Noodle, Infidel Noodle was the very first person who I ran this idea by. That when I decided that I'm gonna create a petition, I actually sent her the draft. That this is what I'm gonna write. So she did recommend a few things, but I think I forgot to add them. But it would have been, I would have been shattered if I had thought, she's actually changed her mind, which is perfectly fine. She can't change her mind, but I'm more than happy to talk to her even more, because I can explain even more.
Yeah, I hope
lay her back.
I hope the people who disagree with us can see at least where we're coming from, like me and Susanna, like why we think the way we do. Like, I think some of us are very skeptical of government involvement. We're like, it's a huge red flag for us. And
already precedent for this. I don't like that precedent.
Yeah, maybe we're more libertarian than the rest of you, and we just think like we're very concerned about government involvement and where that could lead to. Historically, that hasn't led to good. Maybe so. I mean, even if you think that's like maybe will bring alarmists and maybe that's not justified, I hope some people could appreciate why this is such a important right that we fight for, and we think that is important, right? Like, understanding the people who disagree with you. I'm hoping that's what some people will take away from this. But anyways.
Our mod Suha, our own mod, actually posted the link in the chat.
Yes. Thank you, Soha. Wow, Soha is always very helpful. Yes, in the live chat, there's now Soha has provided a link for you guys if you want to click on it directly. And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy. Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free. It's not even promotion. It's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.